Secretary Vilsack, thank you so much for joining us. I'm Sharice Davids. I represent the 3rd District in Kansas. And my district is actually really interesting. We have quite a range of folks, medium-sized family farms. We have urban areas and rural areas. We have everything ranging from hobby farms to poultry producers, specialty crops, some row crops. And the Kansas City region also happens to be home to some really key intermodal hubs that our ag economy from across the country uses to move their products to feed our country and to feed the world. And over the last 2 months, I've spent a lot of time. I'm new to this committee, so I've been visiting with dozens of farmers, producers. I've had quite a few roundtables and listening sessions, and I've heard a lot of ways that USDA works, and some ways that maybe some of the programs don't work as well as they could. And one of the common concerns I've heard about is around the supply chain. Around supply chain issues. And in your testimony, you mentioned farmers and consumers at all points of the supply chain needing a more resilient system. So I'm curious about if you could expand on that a bit and share a bit about flexibility of the supply chain and improving that resiliency from your point of view.
Well, I think there are a couple of things that we need to be focused on, and that is the rail industry, the trucking industry, and the ports in terms of being able to move product more efficiently and more effectively. I think it's fair to say that we have some serious issues with reference to the rail industry and the fact that they may very well be understaffed at this point. We've seen significant delays that have occurred as a result of the transition in transportation of grain that's being produced in the Midwest out to the West Coast that is needed for their farms. That's a deep concern that was expressed to me when we had a series of roundtable discussions with ag groups and producers. There's an issue with reference to encouraging more individuals in the trucking industry so that we have more trucks, more capacity. And we still have some challenges with reference to the ports. So part of the challenge that we have to undertake at USDA is to make sure that we express those concerns to the boards and commissions that are in charge of surface transportation, in charge of ports, to make sure that they know that the problems have not been totally solved, that we still have issues, and that we still require a very keen eye on all of this.
And then I do want to switch over to a different important topic, and I might have missed it if it was discussed earlier, but one of the things that I'm very concerned about is our farmers and producers have very demanding lives. Growing and producing the food that feeds us requires demanding days. They're dealing with supply chain disruptions and extreme weather events. And there's a ton of stress that is associated with that. And I know that ranchers, farm workers, rural residents are having a hard time accessing mental and behavioral health resources. That's materials, support, the full range. And I know that the Farm and Ranch Stress Assistance Network has been doing a lot of work to fill the gap. But I'm curious if you could talk about that program. And actually, my time is running out. So
we've provided more resources for that program, and we've also worked with secretaries and commissioners of agriculture at the state level to encourage more information. We've also invested more in rural mental health services and facilities through our community facility program.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate that work. I yield back.